Okay, I need to talk about my relationship to Scotland. Uh, so, as many of you know, Scotland was a dream for me for many years. And there is something very compelling to me about continuing to return to these lands to show other people these beautiful spaces, to explore more with other people, and also in my own pilgrimages that I continue to go on throughout Scotland and also throughout the UK in general. But certainly the ancestral healing journey that I've been on here, there was a real reason for me to get here to Scotland. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you all, but people will ask me, like, why did you ever go to Scotland? And I was debating whether to go to Scotland or whether to go to Portugal to sit with a sage there, Muji Baba. And I was at this moment where I was like, do I go and learn a bit about shamanic work? Because I'd been struggling to journey on my own. I really felt as though I needed a teacher to help me with opening my mind. And I did find a lovely teacher for that at the time. And then, expanded so much about, okay, I feel so at home here. I felt so relaxed for the first time in my life. And I guess I wanted to talk about dreams. I wanted to start this off saying, hey, let's talk about my relationship to Scotland, because it's also not like I feel Scotland is a forever place for me. It's also not like I feel totally at home here or that I can come back to a thriving community. In fact, I don't think that, a lot of people have thriving communities. So I'm among many of you who might feel you have some, and some are patchy in different areas, or of course we struggle with different capacity as we go through life. And I also am not, residing here as of yet. And so it is more difficult to land fully. I can't imagine staying here through every winter, for example, because of the darkness. The amount of darkness that descends over the Highland Hills is quite immense. And because I'm finding myself relieved by, in the wintertime, being somewhere where there's more sunshine. Otherwise, I really, really, really love the weather in Scotland. I actually love this like cool, damp, mid, this moderate range. Just scared to say mid on the internet, but you'll forgive me. It wasn't intentional. So I wanted to come on and talk about how dreams shift, because I think there's probably a lot of people who are living with a feeling of failed dreams. I know I myself sometimes like have mislabeled what my experiences have been as like failed missions or failed dreams. And in reality, I'm like, wow, I've gotten to do a whole bunch of things, and you see it in a very different perspective. But always your dreams look very different when you're inside of them. Like even when I think back to 2018, when I first came to Scotland and my feet landed on the pavement outside of the airport, and I was like, whoa, I'm just here. Whoa, I'm at home. Oh, I was like, that's a really complex feeling. I don't even think I can chew on that. I knew it was like something dropped so solidly inside of me, and yet I didn't know what was going to be next, or what was going to happen after. Your dreams look really different from inside, right? Like later that night, I was at a hostel and a man was passing gas above me for like hours. Like it was like hard to sleep. And so, you take the good, you take the maybe ick with the life has to give us. And Scotland was like a dream for years, but also so was international travel. So was digital nomad living, like being able to just work through the power of the internet, through being here with all of you. Oh, but nomadic life, man. So, not men, whoever you are, and men. I know some of you are here too. I do look at my analytics, but sometimes I'm like, are people using their husband's accounts, or you never know if people are listing their correct information on the internet through even those demographics. So, nomadic living, an update for today, because I'm going to keep coming back to YouTube. Now that I'm back, let's open up some conversations. Let's have some real chats, and let's be here. Nomadic life is definitely full of a feeling of freedom beyond what I knew before living this way. Full stop. I actually feel more secure many times. Like I felt more secure living in my van than I did living at a landed place that was like a beautiful space to be, where there was people around, where you're supposed to feel like you're in or near community. I felt way more unsafe there because people actually knew where I lived. And so I think it's all based on our own inner perceptions. And you might know that, your brain might know that. I hope that you're also feeling that, that truly everything that you're looking at in your life is about your perception of it. So I do get to go on adventures. I do get to see new things. I do get to see places, walk places, eat things that I never thought, I'd get to. And really real, lots of isolation based on the choices. You don't have to travel and be in isolation. I tend to, because I really value the amount of work I want to do. And then that's just, my weekends are spent in the airports. And even then, sometimes I'm trying to get work done. And you don't see a lot of that work, and you might never see a lot of that work as well, because I am a creative, and there are things that I really believe are going to come up to the surface as like a shareable project. And I think this next few years is going to be very exciting, because I'll be able to share a lot more with you of things that have been cooking and in my heart. And then there's also things that I work on which are maybe going to see the light of day a decade or more from now, right? And to truly hold that and to feel proud of that, to value that, that is challenging. Constantly adjusting to new places. Oh my gosh, can I say constantly adjusting to new beds, new pillows, new setups? Like, even if you're in a hotel, it's like that hotels are really different. From every person's situation is different. Sometimes I'm doing a new pet sit every 2-3 weeks. Sometimes I'm not even staying for that long. I'm trying to do them at least 2 weeks to a month, because that feels like, I can land a little bit better. I also really do want community and friends. I want to feel like I can go to a local coffee shop and have them know my order, or I want to feel like I have regular people that I can hug. I really miss hugs on the road, you guys. I had such a rough time back in right after Oracle Fest in February and March. It was like I was really loving being in California and really, really challenged by the disconnect, like severe disconnect that I was experiencing, and depleted energy. So I was really just like, the basics was what I was focusing on. I did not feel well at all. My energy was so low at that time. And all I wanted was a hug. And I was like, this is so awkward. Like, why do we live in a world where it's so difficult to get a real hug, right? And it's like, it's not, Kate. You have chosen a life where you are separating frequently from what you are comfortable with in order to be able to serve humanity better through thinking and feeling my own regulating of myself, to coming back to myself time and time again, right? To trusting new people as I navigate the world, to trusting that the universe and spirit guides and the powers that be, that God has my back, right? To walk through this world truly feeling a sense of faith and dedication to hope for humanity. That's a really high importance to me because of what I define my work to be. I know that's different. I'm not selling clogs. I get that. You know what I mean? I should have been a shoe cobbler, you guys. I should have been. I really took a left turn. I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque when they gave me my choice in life, and I went this way. The grueling journey within. Um, However, I do believe it's worth it. I'm being facetious because I think it's funny, but I do believe it's worth it. All of these things, right? I'm talking about holding multiple truths and finding peace within them. So it's not like you need to decide that your life is totally amazing. It can also be deeply challenging. It doesn't have to be easy or hard. You can just find the depth within, right? Look for what is beautiful and meaningful. Sometimes I say life is equal parts beauty and tragedy, right? And as a sensitive person, I invite the spectrum of experience. Sometimes we tone it down a little. Sometimes it can be a bit much to take all at once. And I'm certainly a fan of finding ways to lighten up and just neutralize the effects of that. And at the same time, I do feel this inner evolution and growth and peace and love returning to me, and joy of who I am, and freedom and rootedness and ability to create and inspiration and whatever, I feel all these things because of the choice to continue following my heart's path. If your heart's path is that you make tiny teacup candles, then it ought to also feel this way, where it's like, okay, sometimes it feels like life is really difficult and you get all these product orders in and I can't deal with it. And then whew, you realize I love my little teacup candles, right? I don't do that, but if you make them, I would love to know because I think they're so cute. Um, okay, what else? I write these little lists, and obviously, I love to tangent. And this is also another commitment I made recently to myself was, Kate, you love being on YouTube. You love being present with people. You love talking, and you need to talk more. And no one person wants to hear you talk this much, so you might as well put it on the internet. But I really do think, okay, this is the key. I want to share. I'm here to share. People do tend to like listening to me share where I'm at. And aren't we so tired of inauthentic internet? Aren't we so tired of people faking? And I have faked enough in life. I'm going to try not to do it as much. We're only human. We're only human. So, Scotland, for me, has been very clarifying because it has taught me about having roots, discovering and deepening in those roots while also pursuing a feeling of freedom. I've been able to and continue to learn how to hold both here. And I've met other people who have done the same when they have been here in Scotland. So I'm sharing this also because I do want to invite you to come to Scotland with me and to join me here in Scotland on an upcoming retreat with Story and Soul, or a one-to-one retreat if that feels like it's your next step. But certainly trying retreats and group retreat experiences, I think, is so important in these days. And I know sometimes it feels scary to step out of your comfort zone, but just think about the sanctity that you might have, the peace and freedom that you might have. What I'm describing in 2018 really did launch me to having this experience now in life. The idea that we don't need to escape our lives if we enjoy our lives. And so, can we travel to places that allow us to feel that adventure that doesn't feel like escapism? That's us living fully in our lives. That's what I feel. And I think there are many times where nomadic living is escaping some aspect of self. I also think there's lots of times being rooted is escaping some aspect of your freedom. So, we pick the lives that we're looking to have. Scotland has also been very good for my deeper conversations, creative, like ceremony with land, to feel a part of things that have more meaning. There's something very grounding the further up you go in the Highlands because the rock is like so hard to put these things into words. I just like to pass you the energy of the Scottish stone, the Scottish stone and sea. It is cleansing in a way that is difficult to describe, and grounding in a way that is difficult to replicate. As many other places that I've been, the Scottish Highlands hold a specific energy that if you are tuned into me, you also might then feel through me, hopefully in person someday as well. There's deep green and deep stone and salt and sea, and there's a harsh ruggedness and sort of a somewhat sparse landscape in areas that when you first come across it can feel almost it's like almost people say in Canada when they go through the prairies, it's so flat that it almost can put you into some sort of liminal space, or it feels dull, it feels boring, and that allows the mind to drift, right? I find some areas of Scotland with its rolling hills have that, but in a more soothing nature. I haven't been to the prairies myself, so I can't speak to it. So don't come for me if you love the prairies, or if you also think that I don't know, they seem a little dull to me. That's what I've heard. Okay. Other things. I also feel very connected to music. I think there's so much more like story and tradition and music connected to my roots. And so I feel more close to that. And I found on the retreat that we held in April, which was an extended retreat, that was like a 10-day one. It felt to me like music belongs here as part of our community building, community gathering. So before dinner, or after a whiskey tasting, I would play a song or two, or just in a moment I might go and play a song. And I would welcome other song as well to be shared at any moment. And stories as well. Emma is a really amazing storyteller. She's lived in the Highlands her whole life. And so she bringing the other half of story and soul. She's the story. And she's also got soul. We both got spirit and stories to boot. But the soul coming home and that feeling of remembering is my responsibility. And the stories and the meaning that you make while you're away and these excursions are Emma's responsibility. We each sort of stay in the zone that makes sense for us. And when I hear stories of the land, I feel that much more connected to the land. When we go somewhere that holds a rich history of how people interacted with it, we feel deeper and more a part of things. I believe that that is really really like possible here in Scotland for you to have all of those experiences like as a guarantee because of the age and traditions that live here. And it's really important, I think, to keep having conversations about how we experience places and how we travel places. Certainly, if you have roots anywhere here, I do recommend that you get here at some point, because I think it's important to feel. And I think it's just nice when people are able to visit homelands if it's safe and comfortable for them to do so. I also just believe Scotland has a lot to offer, whether you have roots here or not. I think that there's a reason Outlander became so popular, and it's not only that it was like an interesting storyline through history. I think there's like a feeling of mysticism that people are longing for that is held in the land of Scotland specifically, and England and Ireland as well. If you want to include, I haven't been to Ireland, but I can sense that there is this like folkloric story heart that is claiming a return in the hearts of people. I think there's a lot of language being recalled and tradition being remembered. And even I'm noticing a lot more handcrafts and maybe like blacksmithing or fur tanning and all these types of things. I see that making a resurgence here in a beautiful way. I see a lot of people protecting the language of Gaelic, and there's, I'm sure, other offsprings of what has come from or past that. And music. There's also a great honoring of traditional music here. And so would love to invite anyone who is here but wants a deeper connection to being here, or who is not in Scotland and would like to see for yourself, to join us. I'll list the retreats below and you can check them out. We have Soul of the North in November in Caithness up in the Highlands. And then we have Awakening Wonder from Within, Isle of Skye in March. Both are extremely potent and special offerings, very different in the feeling that is coming forth from them. So I will be sharing more about what I sense coming into each of those, not to like predict and say, oh, this is how it has to be, but more, this is the energy that I'm sensing from it already. And then we'll get to discover it together and create it together. So if you want to bring something else, then you can add that to our experience together in Scotland. So sometimes, this is interesting. Sometimes manifestation isn't getting the things and then also remaining exactly the same and now just having the things, right? It's usually not that. Usually the dream shifts the person, the inspiration shifts the person in order to create, and a deeper desire actually comes out from underneath that. A lot of people who end up coming to retreat, it's because they're ready for a change in the pacing, in their enjoyment and fulfillment, in their connection, usually to themselves. And we recognize that, we see that, we have created something so perfect for it. It has enough spaciousness and also enough challenge and creativity and freedom to feel like you're living that life that you don't need to escape from. And we'll remind you to be in your life, because I will bring in body practices, and that's something we need. Oh my gosh, just a reminder for body practices, let alone an actual series of teachings every day. I had a question here that I wanted to ask, because I like leaving on a question because it can lead us into conversation, open the doorway for us to chat. The question I was going to ask is, what dream have you accomplished or reached, realized, and then what happened next, right? Like, what were you shown next? It's something that understanding this can help you deepen the perspective of life's about the journey, not the destination, right? That it is about the way in which we are feeling and navigating and experiencing throughout. It's really not about if then this, if then this. So often we will have this dream. I had this dream of coming to Scotland. I did not fill in the blanks of I'm going to live in Scotland the rest of my life. I also don't feel like I'm only going to live in Scotland the rest of my life. I do feel like that's something I'm working towards, and that also I'll live other places as well. That sense as it comes in is such a light touch. It's like a dream. And then when it shows up in life, I'll already be getting the dreams and the downloads for the next thing, right? Because when that thing comes in, it comes in so easily and so ready, and it's so the right time, whether it's soon or far in the future, right? So take the example of this sanctuary space that I'm looking to create. After this business plan is created, it is as simple as meeting one person who has the ability to invest in and would like to see this happen. It is also as challenging as being rejected by 500 people that I ask first, right? We don't know how that's going to go. I can't predict. All I can do is avidly chase no's, avidly chase, right? And put myself earnestly out there saying, here's what I would love to create, and keep finding ways and opportunities to help that happen, whether it's earning resources in my own, whether it is applying for funding, whether it is looking to the community for support, whether it is looking for investors specifically who are looking for this in their portfolio, which I really do feel it will like be so great for specific types of people who are looking to support spiritual wellness, like a culture shift in humanity. I think there's many, many, many amazing investors who are making that choice right now. And I know of a few, which is even more exciting. That being said, it could be 10 years from now that my sanctuary dream comes to life. And I don't want to be pouting when it comes in, because when it comes in, it will be so beautiful and so perfect. And it's so exactly how I've seen it going, because I haven't decided every way that that has to look. Does that make sense? Right? So we're not going to be the same person when we go and meet that dream. And as soon as I landed in Scotland, suddenly it changed me. And then I continued finding my way back here to continue reconnecting to those roots and to sensing who I am when I'm grounded and connected to that history within my own lineage. So what dream have you reached that now you want something different? Yeah. Um, I quite like the idea of building a life that is genuinely nourishing to myself and others, and allows me to give as much as my heart is wanting to give, which is a huge ask. That requires a great level of dedication of mind getting out of the way, and physical energy levels, and what it is that defines my heart's journey that has to continually be listened to and then acted upon so as to keep that connection, et cetera, et cetera. All those things are so worth it, because the difference is never having planted my feet in Scotland in the first place and knowing that that piece of me existed, or never pursuing a dream to then realize there was so much more beyond that one dream that was waiting for me. If you have one dream that's looming, that deserves your attention. I'm also looking to create more spaces in the world that are more nourishing, because I have seen how people who live this way can feel depleted, and I can't imagine how many feel depleted living in a stagnant situation, or one that feels as though they are not free or growing in the way that they'd like. It doesn't need to be doom and gloom, though. People do just come on retreat because they want to visit Scotland and see the sights, and then they get accidentally surprised by feeling more at home in themselves or feeling more connected to others. And it can be as light and as fun as that, and it has been. So it really, I think for me, often because my inner experience feels so dramatic and deep and intense, I find that my healing work that I receive ends up always being a lot more gentle than how I associate the healing journey of my own brain, right? Not healing necessarily, but the the battle against our challenges. And then I work with someone else and it's like such a gentle wave almost that comes to me. And some other people will work with that same person and go, "Oh my gosh, that person rocked my socks off. That was so intense." And for me, it's actually meant to be this like subtle thing because it's an oppositional energy to the way that I might be approaching or attacking life as an Aries. It's not always Aries, it's everything else. It's who I am. But there is such a passion, intensity, and excitement that I have to invite you all to find some experiences this year, next year, as soon as you can, whenever you can, that invite this feeling back for you as well. So that's all on this one. I think that's what I needed to say. I'm going to do another one to talk just about Soul of the North so that I can share with you a little more about it. Um, yeah, raw thoughts, but welcome, 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 welcome. And if this is your first time, make sure you're subscribing if you want to see more. And if you're coming back, you're returning, maybe like and comment so that I know you're here. It's really nice to be back. I'm feeling a lot more like myself, and I hope to help a lot of you feel a lot more like yourself soon as well. And I got 30% off all my services right now in August, and 333 is how much I'm charging for hypnotherapy right now, just during August. I just feel like giving in August. Okay. We'll chat soon. Take care, everyone. And I love you.